I just wanted to go to a theme that Senator Hanson-Young was exploring, the idea that if the Australian government had a sufficient tax base, it would be able to potentially help media outlets directly rather than through legislation like this. Facebook has an arrangement here in Australia that if someone in, say, Whyalla, Port Lincoln, a business decides to boost an ad, they go online, they boost their ad, they'll find that they get a $1,000 charge if that's what they've chosen to spend, and they'll get an international transaction fee that is paid in respect of Ireland. So all of your advertising revenue or boosting revenue basically goes directly to Ireland, and even though the customer is here in Australia and the service is being provided in Australia. I've talked about this with the tax department. I'm pretty sure that this is accurate. How is that fair in the context of Facebook does have an operation here in Australia? You rely on our education system, you rely on our health system, you rely on the police services, the legal system, all of those sorts of things, but you are avoiding the paying of tax here in Australia through that mechanism. I'm not saying you're doing anything unlawful, and the OECD is looking at this through its BEPS 2.0 program, but it's not morally proper, is it? It goes to your social licence.
Senator, look, as you say, there's been a long process that the OECD has been leading around the taxation of businesses like ourselves and international businesses. We've been very involved in that, and we'd be happy to provide you with further information about our views on what's the right way forward here. But also, we're very clear this is a matter for governments. And then it's up to companies to pay tax on the basis of the laws of the country, and that's exactly how we operate.
Respectfully, this is a service you charge in Australia and provide to Australians, but you avoid completely the paying of tax, you say, on the basis of compliance with international law, and I'm not questioning that. I'm saying that socially, that's not moral. Socially, in terms of social licence, there's a failure on the face of Facebook in respect of this particular conduct that indeed prevents the Australian government taking some of that revenue, the tax from that revenue, and perhaps doing something with our regional media outlets.
So Facebook pays tax in Australia, and we can provide information to the committee on notice as to the taxes that we pay.
I understand that. You paid $1.3 billion across the 3 years of tax transparency and about 3% on revenue of tax. That's not inconsistent with a lot of tech companies. But I'm not talking about the operations that you conduct here in Australia that you are paying tax. I'm talking about the sales, the services that you're providing here in Australia, paid for by Australians, where you are not paying tax here in Australia.
I think as I say, Senator, we can provide more information about the submissions we've made to the OECD process. This is a matter between governments as to how does the international tax system operate.
Social licence at the corporate level is not a matter for government. It's a matter of choice made by company directors and senior people inside companies.
And so are commercial arrangements, and therefore we think that commercial arrangements between publishers and digital platforms like ourselves should not be directed in great micro detail by governments. But ultimately, those are decisions for governments as to, on the same basis of the tax arrangements that apply internationally, and then it's really up to companies to comply, and that's exactly what we do as a company.
Okay, I'll just put out again. I think you're verging on being morally bankrupt in the way in which these tax affairs are conducted, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Chair.